There are over 700 islands in the Caribbean region, many of them uninhabited, home to about 45 million people. Geographically, Caribbean countries lie to the east of Central America, north of South America, as well as to the northeast of both North America mainland and the Gulf of Mexico. This map shows only about 26 of the 700 islands. The questions that we want to deal with as follows. Who is indigenous in these islands? Is there evidence that the Caribbean first people were black people, or red Indian, or Asian mulattoes? We want to deal with that. For clarity's sake, we want to have a very clear grasp and knowledge of the indigenous people found in the Caribbean, so that we have to derive it from the definitive positions that scholars and ethnographers have given us. These terms may not be enough, but they are more or less essential today, so that they give us a locus standi on the position that we want to adopt. So by definition, when you say Mesoamerica, you are actually speaking of Mexico and Central America. That's Mesoamerica. So when they say Pre-Columbian, they are saying before the European Christopher Columbus came to the States or to the American islands and American continents. When they say Amerindian, they are saying these are indigenous Indians of North and South America. So that's a question that is very gray, because when you say Indians, you have already defined them by a term that is not applicable to them. Nevertheless, it is what scholastic attitude and pedagogy has given us. So we accept it and continue with using it, but with those lights flashing around our minds. Paleoindian, Paleoamerican, these are the original black settlers of the Americas. Again, this is subjective because there's a lot of debate about that. You can study more and go to this website that is shown here to clarify many of these issues. So, where did the word Caribbean come from? The region takes its name from the indigenous people called in English Carib, from Spanish Caribe, which comes from a word in the Arawakan language group, probably Taino, meaning human being. That is the key. Once you get to that word meaning human being, that's a Bantu classification. Already we are on home turf. You can study and look at this website for more. What race is Caribbean? We given here this these pictures from this website blog showing us the ideal and the original image of the Caribbean. And we know, and we study from many scholars, we know that about 1600 before Common Era, a tribe of peaceful Amerindians, known as the Arawaks, first settled in Barbados. This group of aboriginals came over from South America, and their tribe thrived on growing crops and hunting their food. In about 1200 AD, another Amerindian, you see now, it's changed now, alright? And Caribs, who were very war-oriented, killed off the Arawaks and took over their islands. A couple of centuries later, the Spanish discovered the islands. They brought with them many European diseases such as smallpox and wiped out nearly wiped out everybody. So what race is the Caribbean? Caribbean people are the people born in or inhabitants of Caribbean islands. The Caribbean region was initially populated by Amerindians from several tribes, as we have already indicated. What modern studies hide from us is a very powerful fundamental facts of both geography, history, and anthropology. We want to deal very conclusively with that, so that we will never have issues with the people not understanding the basis of all our arguments. What modern studies hide is the fact that we should master this fact, is that blacks or Bantus settled in the Americas before 130,000 BCE. Only about 8.8 million African slaves were imported into the Caribbean and Latin American continents between 1514 and 1866. I invite you to visit and spend time using this website to discover what modern studies hide from us. This is the website that I am highlighting here that we should go and study. Let's lay the foundation of how we know for certainty that indigenous Caribune were Bantus. That's their Caribune. That's their name. Were Bantus. Scientists discovered very old, huge animal bones, now extinct. They called it the mastodon, similar to an elephant. Then they subsequently discovered hammerstones and stone anvils at the site. At this site, known as Ceruto Mastodon site. Exactly here, that's where they discovered all this. And they put 1 and 2 together to come up with an understanding that humans were already there. But which race was in America 130,000 years BCE? Go and read on this website to read more about these anthropological studies. Advanced radiometry dating technology allowed scientists to determine the mastodon bones that they belong to the late Pleistocene period, which is 130,000 plus or minus 9,400 years. These bones and several teeth show clear signs of having been deliberately broken by humans with manual dexterity and experiential knowledge, Holland said in a press conference release. But how did men inhabit these places? Many theories of autochthonous indigenousness are correct, but it's the point where they deny that they were from Africa, that's where they lose it. That's where they are wrong, because here is the map of ocean range islands, clearly showing there, proving that the maps of Africa, they were very close, but because of tectonic travel or tectonic movements, they now move apart from each other, as shown here. This is a scientific position, clearly proven. You can take the maps of Southern America, and if you push them around Africa, they snugly fit. Let me say, if the tectonic issue was a lie, the maps would not be shaped like that to fit in there. If you know your shapes, simple shapes, this is a fact. Map showing mountain ranges in the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Many ocean islands are actually the visible parts of submerged mountains. Over time, mountains rise up and mountains go down in a process called orogeny. Thus, over long periods of time, islands appear and disappear. Ancient men may well have island hopped, using islands that no longer exist. So they hopped there, and some are still there 100,000 years ago, or even beyond that time. The Bering crossing is the other one that they opt for and say, okay, so the indigenous American who crossed through the Bering crossing to America was a mulatto or was an Asian, which is wrong. It's not proven. They were not Euro-Asians. The Euro-Asians, the natives were there only less than 20,000 years ago. We are being liberal then if we say 20,000 years ago. List of oldest human remains in the Americans, those are over 9,000 years old. So only all those ancient Beringian, based on the genome of an infant found at the Upward Sun River site, Alaska, dubbed USR1, dated to 11,500. So they can't be, because we have already proved that they were already human beings, already Bantus there 130,000 years ago. So the events of the Ice Age that occurred around 11,000 years ago is the one that is causing a lot of these humans that were found in these places. So we should all understand that all these other human fossils that have been found, they don't go beyond 11,000 or 12,000 years for a reason, because these people were not indigenous or are not indigenous in these Caribbean as well as American islands. That's a fact. That's a fact. You can deny it, but that's a fact. We know the Caribbean population came from mainland Americas, but for them to be in mainland Americas, they came from Africa. That's clear, straightforward. We've established that they were not Eurasians, but Bantus. So the politicians also have come into play very much easy and quick. We see here an extract of America as a land of opportunity, printable version. You can get it. It's in public media by Benjamin Franklin, 1751. He speaks about desire to bring more Europeans and so forth, and continues to want to make this nation. And he says that in saying all this, we quote here that he says, why increase the sons of Africa? It was because of slavery. By planting them in America, where we have so fair an opportunity, but excluding all blacks and Tonys who were already there in America, right? Of increasing the lovely white race, but perhaps I am impartial to complexion of my country. So he goes on and on. So the words that he uses here, the definition of Swarthy and Tony, is found in Benjamin Franklin's 1751 essay, America is a Land of Opportunity, are taken from Samuel Johnson's Dictionary of the English Language, published by W.G. Jones in 1768. This searchable versions of the digitized 17 is available online on Google Books. So Swarthy and Tony means black, African, Negroid. This is how the Europeans in America defined the descendants of the great mounds and the pyramid builders, the Washitas, Incas, Aztecs, Taino people, Caribs, Arawak, Schooner, the Kiboni, peoples from mainland America, original Bantu people with many more connections to various clans of the Americans as well as Africans. Thus, this position is one that is constantly under severe attack, with even Bantus, original Bantus, related to Bantus in Africa, claiming that they are not Africans. What a lie! What a lie! What a lie! Indigenous Caribbeans, all of these are Africans. You can see all their images there. Clear, straightforward, 1750. These are Caribbean and Indian in interior St. Vincent's. They are black people. All Indians here are black people. All here West Indian are black people. Free West Indian in Dominica, black people. All of them. 18th century paintings of the indigenous people of the Caribbean by Italian painter Agostino Brunias. He would not have lied if they were Europeans. It is this position that the Europeans are now realizing, oh, we made a mistake. We should not have told these people the truth. But at that time, they were telling the truth because that's what they were seeing. In 17th century, Brunias left London to travel to the Caribbean and chronicle the inhabitants' lives on canvas. Docent Loevecha wore 18 patterns of Brunias painting on his waistcoat in Haiti. So it's straightforward, it's clear, it's not debatable. More proof of tricky scholarship now that is coming. A monthly record of anthropological science. I'm going to read the little passage here. It's very interesting. You can see that it's Negro skeletal remains from Indian sites in West Indies by T.D. Stewart, Division of Physical Anthropology, United States National Museum, Washington, D.C. The recent paper in this journal by Buxton, Trevor, and Julian, 1938-47, implies that an undeformed Negroid physical type inhabited the Virgin Islands in pre-Columbian times. That's a fact. That's a skeleton they found. And then from there, he now refutes it and tries to refuse that. But it's impossible. It's a Negroid. We were indigenous. We were autochthonous there. Several scholars have already demonstrated the fact that several isolated but concocted facts permit the conjecture that before the formation and development of the three great ethnographic groups, a great part of America was occupied by the Negroid type, Canos Cuervo Marquez, prehistorica, one thing. That's what he says. That's what you can see. What you see is what you get. There are more people there. That's Blackfoot Chief, and that's Geno Smith. Same. There is Africanized Aboriginal Americans there. Obvious. The Amase Indians or Jamasi, also referred to as the Amokrak, Amakrise, were listed among the 19 tribes as being of dark complexion, found widely scattered among the inhabitants of North and South America. They were assumed to be immigrants from Africa prior to the Europeanized discovery of America, whom last bequest they alone are persisted in slave hunting in Beaufort, South Carolina, 1570. So you can study and get this book, and then you see the proof of what we are saying. Mexican Bantu, same as Caribs. Dr. Nicholas Leon, physical archaeologist, anthropologist, ethnologist, founder of Museum of Michoacan in Mexico. The almost extinction of the original Negroes during the time of the Spanish conquest and the memories of them in the most traditions induce us to believe that the Negroes were the first inhabitant of Mexico. Correct and true to the point. More Caribs. There you can see her here. Black, African, Bantu, straightforward. She goes to Africa. She fits. No problems. Go to this website and see more evidence about that. Mexican, Guatemalan, Belize, Cuban, Colombian, Brazilian, Ecuadorian, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Nicaraguan. They are all Bantus. How are you, my Bantu brothers? There we are. We are one. The fact that we are one and others divide us by genes, religion, language, religion, and recent events must push us back to over 130,000 years when there was only one race on earth. This must inspire and teach us to value Bantu life and Bantu originality and why we are here on this earth. Adoption of this ideal will be your best spiritual and physical identity recovery tonic of all time, based on our personal experience as well as on race sourced, will influence your spirituality and enlightenment. Let's remember each other's, join an Afro secret society, and study an indigenous Afro language, because we are one. Subscribe to our channel, Hamiti Hebrew Ethics. This is Spiritual Rabbi LM Tumizulu, and you can get in touch with us on this email. Thank you. Goodbye. Have a good time, Bantus all over the earth.